Welcome to this MCTV Sports production of high school baseball from the Peninsula Athletic League Ocean Division. It's the Mills Vikings hosting the Hillsdale Knights. Hello everyone, I'm Kenny Milch alongside my broadcast partner Drew Petiti. And Drew, not the biggest game for Mills, but on the other side for Hillsdale is pretty important.
Well, it's a four-way log jam. This is a big week for Hillsdale. They finished their regular season this week, and right now they're currently tied for first place, so they have no room to let down at all.
A four-way log jam, that is, between Sequoia, Cappuccino, Aragon, and Hillsdale. They're all at 8-4, and then there's Kings Academy kind of looming from the outside looking in at 7-5.
Kings Academy is right there, and they've played everybody tough, and any little slippage by these top four, Kings Academy can get into that P.A.L. tournament.
And that P.A.L. tournament in its inaugural year, there's a lot of buzz about it. They've been wanting it for a while, been doing it in basketball in the P.A.L. for a while, and now it's for baseball. Top 12 make it. Top 7 or all 7 from the Upper Bay Division, and then the top 4. So not only bragging rights for the Ocean Division Championship, also CCS automatic bid, but in order to get one of those 4 bids, these top 4 teams in the Ocean Division, they got to come up with a big week.
Well, if you look at all 3 divisions, I mean, they've all beat up on each other, and you've got teams that have beat, like a Hillsdale has beaten a Terra Nova, and you've gotten, you know, just a mixture of wins and losses between all of them. There's really no top team in the P.A.L. This should be a fabulous tournament.
Sequoia has also beaten Terra Nova. They've had a fantastic year. Hillsdale comes in with an overall record of 15-7. Mills comes in at 6-17. They are in 8th place in the P.A.L. Ocean Division at 2-10. The head coach for and manager for the Mills Vikings is Tony Adornetto in his 10th year, and making his first year as the manager for Hillsdale and doing a fine job is James Madison.
Yeah, James Madison was at junior college last year. He coached 2 years at a junior college in Wisconsin. It's called Technical College in Wisconsin. It was a junior college, and so now he's here and doing a fabulous job in his first year.
Replaced Neil Donahoe over at Hillsdale, and the Knights, of course, looking for their first league championship since 2008. They're right in the thick of it. They won the Lake Division that year, and then before that, no league championship since 1997 when the records came out. Mills, by the way, is coming off a league championship or a co-championship last year. They shared it with Sequoia.
Yeah. Mills has played so many teams very, very well. You talked about the Kings Academy a minute ago. It was a 2-1 game, and they really had the chance to win that game. And so, you know, they have a win against Half Moon Bay. They have a win against Archbishop Reardon, which is in the WCAL. So you're going to get a good game from Hillsdale, no matter you know, whatever their record is.
On the mound for the Mills Vikings today is their ace, senior number 24, Kyle Valens, comes in with a record of 2-4. He has 9 appearances, has started 6 games, 3 complete games, 1 shutout, and an ERA of 3.00. He's a left-hander, and he's pretty tough.
Anytime you get a left-hander on the mound, and especially his ball moves, he's going to be tough to hit. Again, big game for Hillsdale, and Mills really doesn't have, I mean, just play for pride, but you know, they can get up for a game like this because they can know they could really knock Hillsdale out, which is always motivation for any time. Anytime you can play for something at the end of the season, it's a bonus.
And they're playing also the role of spoilers, like you say. Leading off for the Knights, Rohith Mahanti, and he is also the pitcher wearing number 7. And boy, is he one outstanding player, both on the hill and in the batter's box. Takes high for a ball, 1-0. Mahanti on the season is batting .435. He's 30 for 69, 25 RBIs to lead the team. Batting leadoff here today at 8 doubles, and he pops one into shallow left field, and now the center fielder is going to call him off, and Derek Wong comes over to make a catch over in the left fielder's area. But who cares for Valens and the Vikings? They get 1 up, 1 down.
Well, you know that you can see the wind today, so the wind's going to give some problem. You get the ball up in the air, and this ball is going to move, and so it's going to be a little fun for the outfielders today and for the infielders on any kind of pop-ups.
Ricky Urata, the second baseman, number 11, left-handed batter, steps into the box and takes a strike. Ball's behind 0-1. Urata on the season, batting .394, 28 for 71, 12 RBIs, 4 doubles, and a triple. Valens, next pitch is a nice fastball for a strike. He's ahead 0-2.
Kyle's got a good rhythm. Even these couple batters, you can tell that he looks relaxed. His fastball is tailing. He really he looks pretty good right now.
The lefty goes for the outside corner, 0-2, and just misses. How Urata laid off of that one, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just the first inning here on MCTV Sports. Curveball in the dirt. Walsh makes the play, fires over to first, and they're able to get him on the strike him out, throw him out. 2 down quickly for Valens and the Vikes.
Yeah, it looks good. Like I said, 2 batters in, and we've got a nice rhythm by Kyle, and this is what they need to do. They need to. It's their ace. So you really want to. I mean, for Mills, they want to establish him, and you want to stay in the game as long as you can.
Andrew Yarrick, the right fielder, steps into the box, batting .434, and he takes a fastball right down the middle, and Valens is right in the zone. Yarrick, 13 RBIs, 9 doubles. This is the gauntlet, the top 5 batters. We'll talk about them as the broadcast goes on, but very tough hitting squad. In fact, Hillsdale has really relied mostly on their hitting as opposed to their pitching. They put up a lot of runs.
Yeah, and you can see too, especially the way the wind's blowing. I mean, some of these big hitters, it could really help, especially going out to left field. The wind's it's gonna be helpful to the batters.
Nice curveball.
He's going to have to keep this ball low, and he's going to have to keep it down to these hitters. I mean, I think it's best, you know, his ball's tails away, and
off-speed pitch grounded down the line, scooped up by Lujan. He throws. McWhirter makes the catch in a 1-2-3 inning for Valens and the Vikes at the end of 1/2. It's Hillsdale 0 and Mills coming up. We'd like to give the Chamber of Commerce big thanks for sponsoring MCTV coverage of this Mills boys baseball game. The Chamber of Commerce is a non-profit association that promotes and supports the growth of business in Millbrae. The Chamber also provides information about great places to dine, shop, and stay when you're in Millbrae. If you'd like to join, contact millbrae.com or call 697-7324 for more information. Thanks again to the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce. Getting the bottom half of the second inning. And the Knights coming onto the field, and they send Rohith Mahanti to the hill, and he is having quite a season. We mentioned in the box and on the hill, he's 3-3 in 10 appearances. Has pitched 36 2/3 innings, has a ERA of 3.25. He's a junior right-hander, and you know, when you have a guy that can throw and hit, Mahanti is quite an asset for first-year coach James Madison.
You know, James talks about his 3 pitchers that he says they're all pretty much the same. But I did ask him, I said, this is the first round of a CCS game. Who would you go with? And he said Mahanti would be his guy. And he's their best, and he says he's their best hitter and their best pitcher, one of their best pitchers. But he did give credit. He said his other 2 in their rotation, they've got a very solid, which could be very helpful in the playoffs.
Behind the plate, Tracy Prim on the bases, Greg Patrick, your umpires for today. And here's the first pitch, a fastball high, but called for a strike. 0-1. Derek Wong, the center fielder, steps into the box for the Mills Vikings. Second pitch, at the knees, also a called strike. So Wong quickly behind, 0-2. Fouled and caught. Wong on 3 pitches goes down swinging. I was going to say, Wong.
Yeah, Mahoney doesn't mess around. He's just going right after him. 3 straight pitches, 3 fastballs, and you know, after 1 hitter, he looks pretty tough to hit.
Wong had come into the game at batting 205, and here's Jordan Ganem swinging a miss. He's behind 0-1. Ganem on the season batting 161, 9 for 56, has 4 RBIs. Fastball just caught the outside corner, and Mahanti's really bringing it, Drew.
He's got a great rhythm also, as he's really not even mixing up his pitches. He's just pretty much throwing it right by this.
That was an off-speed breaking ball.
Curveball, yep.
6 pitches, 2 strikeouts, and that'll bring up Valance, a senior left-hander, also doing the pitching, having a very good season at the plate. Excellent, 367 average, 18 for 49, has 6 RBIs, 3 doubles, and has 1 home run. He takes a strike, and it's behind 0-1.
You can see at this point, Mills, first time they've seen him this year, they're way behind him right now, and they're going to have to make some adjustments. And maybe he's a little deceptive because of his size on the mound, but he really throws that ball hard.
Valance steps out of the box to try to regroup and get ready for this 0-2 pitch. Fastball, and Valance gets a piece of it to stay alive.
Am I mistaken? Has he not thrown all strikes?
That's correct.
9 pitches, 9 strikes.
Off-speed pitch in the dirt, his first ball of the game, and he doesn't waste much time out there.
He doesn't, and that's good for the fielders, because the fielders like it, keep them involved.
Valance chops one over to shortstop, and Vieira makes the play, but he throws it in the dirt. It gets by Leary, and Valance going for 2, and he slides in safely, so he reaches on the air and advances over to second. All of a sudden, a scoring position situation for Mike McWhirter, the cleanup hitter.
Yeah, good. That's a break for Mills. I mean, Mahanti so far has been tough to hit, and you know, you would hate to see from Hillsdale's point of view, you know, give up something without a hit, and that could possibly happen here.
McWhirter batting 194 coming in, 12 for 62, 4 RBIs, 2 doubles, and Mahanti starts him off with a curveball.
Don't know where that missed. That looked pretty good.
A little outside, possibly. 1-0. Valance with a short lead at second. From the stretch, here's Mahanti. In the dirt.
I know it's early in the game, but you wonder if that error affects them. You know, kids, how they get affected by different things. And, you know, he doesn't, these last couple of pitches, he doesn't look the same as he started the first 2 batters. There he goes.
There's a fastball for a strike. Hitters count at 2-1 for McWhirter, who we mentioned in our last couple of broadcasts, and at the basketball game, he likes the bright lights of the TV, usually steps it up for MCTV. Let's see how he does for today. Fouls the back fastball, evens a count at 2-2.
I think if you have an opportunity for Mills, if you got a chance to put some pressure on him, I think I might do it. A hit to an outfield. I might maybe gamble a little bit and be a little more aggressive, because Mahante is a good pitcher, and if you never know when you're going to get an opportunity.
Off-speed pitch, and McWhirter stays disciplined, gets a piece of it, stays alive at 2-2. Valens on second, in scoring position here in the bottom of the first inning.
You notice the first 3 hitters, he's really kept them off balance. They really haven't had a good swing, and so, you know, he just needs to keep getting that ball over the plate, at least early on here.
Fastball outside, and the count goes full.
It's a close pitch. That was on the corner. If you're going to miss, it's a good place to miss. That was very good discipline.
Here's the full count. Takes it on the outside corner. Called strike 3. Third out of the inning. Mahante gets 3 strikeouts, and Mills gets 1 base runner, but at the end of 1, it's 0-0. Elsewhere in the Ocean Division today, Cappuccino is at Aragon. That's a huge game. Obviously, first place implications. Woodside is at Sequoia, and El Camino is at the Kings Academy in Sunnyvale.
It is senior day for the Kings Academy, and again, Kings Academy has no room for error. They have to win both games this week for any chance to be in the P.A.L. playoffs. And they could be a really sleeper in you know, they have played, they really had a difficult start. They've really got some things together. They got a tough team, as well as we can say for a lot of teams in the P.A.L.
And I was looking at the stats, and you look at the stolen bases, boy, you talk about speed. Kings has guys all over the stolen base leaders.
Yes, they do. And they run. They're very aggressive, and they got one of the top hitters in the league, of Michael Sposel, and he's a very good player, and so they have split with most of the teams, and you know, again, this is one of those weeks they gotta, you know, Hillsdale's one of those teams they split with, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they split with them, and so Hillsdale is interesting because you can see they have some really good wins. I mean, you beat the likes of Sacred Heart Prep and Terra Nova, who's currently in first place. You know, they beat Sacred Heart Cathedral, and you just look at them. They beat Sequoia twice. Sequoia's a very good team, because Sequoia was the darling of the league early in the season, and you know, they got to win against, you know, Wilcox, and they
swept Sequoia.
Exactly, but then you have against, you know, the Lake team, they lose to San Mateo. And so you just, it's a rival game, I get it, but you still, a lot of these games just don't make sense.
And they beat Menlo Atherton from the Bay Division.
Yes, and so, you know.
Here's the cleanup hitter, Connor Wallace, at the plate. Takes a strike, evens the count at 1-1. Wallace on the season, part of that gauntlet we were talking about, batting .379, 22 for 58, 21 RBI, second on the team in ribbies, 4 doubles, and has 5 home runs on the season. He leads the Ocean Division in home runs. But Mahante's second with 4.
Yeah, but you can see why Mills has been competitive. I mean, you throw Kyle out in the mound here. I mean, here's a left-hander that has really good control. His ball moves, his fastball tails. He's got a nice curveball. Could be a very, obviously against left-handers, but very difficult to hit against. And you know, but some of the reason is Mills got to score, and I think that's a lot of it. And you know, and so
off-speed pitch, and they're going to appeal over at first, and they call strike 3, says Greg Patrick, the base umpire. And Valens has his second strikeout of the game. So he gets through 4/5 of the gauntlet, and here's the last piece, Chandler Vieira, the shortstop. And Vieira is just another one of those guys that's just getting it done at the plate. Vieira's batting .385, 25 for 65, 21 RBIs, 11 doubles, and 2 home runs. We mentioned Mahanti and Wallace leading the league. Well, tied for 5th is Vieira. He has 2 homers.
And you can see, again, it's the balance of the league, and you got the balance of both divisions, and we all know that you put Hillsdale in the Bay, and they could play in the Bay as well. I mean, you look at Mahante; he's as good as a lot of the players in the league, and so all these hitters.
Takes high. I believe the count is 3-0 to Vieira. First 3-ball count for Valens. Vieira's a senior. Where's number 1? Knights in their black jerseys and white pants. Mills in their scarlet and gold. 3-0 swinging, and a ground ball gets through the shortstop's Zucchiotti.
Yeah, that was a hard hit ball. You could see it. Went to the backhand, probably should have got in front of it. I think it stunned him a little bit. The ball was hit pretty hard. And you can see this surface. The grass is it's really short. The ball, it's going to be fast. And
we're going to score that an error on the shortstop. Thought he had time to get in front of it.
Oh, yeah.
Brings up the number 6 hitter, Anthony Leary, the first baseman. Takes outside, 1-0. Interesting green light for Vieira with 3-0 count. That last at bat.
Yeah, that's he hit the ball hard. That was a hitter's pitch, and he hit it hard.
Leary batting .340, 17 for 50. Takes just outside. He's ahead 2-0. Leary 10 RBIs, 1 double and 1 triple.
First time a leadoff hitter has been on in the game.
Takes high, 3-0. So for the second straight batter, Valens gets behind 3-0. We'll see if they give the green light to Leary. We said the top 5 gauntlet, make it top 6. Leary batting .340. He's no slouch at the plate either. Valens hits the inside corner, and it's 3-1. Short lead for Vieira. 2 for 2 in stolen bases on the season is Vieira. Leary's a junior in the box, and Valens keeps an eye on Vieira.
First time he's shown that move. He's got a pretty nice move to first base. And you can tell, lefties, if they can have a good move, you're going to keep that runner close.
Pitch is outside. Ball 4, first walk of the game for either pitcher. And his runners at first and second with 1 down. Here's the catcher, Taryn Poss, wearing number 32. Poss is a senior, batting .244, 11 for 45, 10 RBIs, has 5 doubles, 1 home run. So Poss, not with the biggest average on the team, but he's got a little pop in his bat.
And Kyle needs to calm down a little bit. Get that, there he goes. He got a nice pitch there. But I think right now, it's really critical. I mean, he had the one error at shortstop and the walk, but he had a 3-ball count on him, so he's been struggling the last couple of batters.
Gets ahead of Poss, 0-2 here.
I mean,
double play still in order. I'm sorry about that.
I was just going to say, they've got to. I think it's really important that if Hillsdale's going to score, they're going to have to earn it. You can't walk. You can't give up errors.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, as Valens picks up his 3rd strikeout of the evening. And that'll bring up Brett Wetland. Wetland's the left fielder on the season, batting .259. He's just a sophomore. 14 for 54, 15 RBIs, and 2 doubles.
Obviously a big out, that last one, because didn't put the ball in play, and Hillsdale didn't get to move those runners up, which they probably so desperately wanted to do. There's
Wetland. The High Sox takes high 2-0. Wetland also plays for the West Coast Federals, which is a summer travel ball tournament team. They always wear their high socks, so he's carrying that over with Hillsdale. Valens from the belt. Check swing foul. Count goes to 2-1. That was pitch number 30 for Valens here with 2 down in the second inning. No score on MCTV Sports, our third broadcast of Mills High baseball this season. We've covered a lot of sports and hope to do some more next year as well. Wetland swings at a high fastball and fouls it out of play over the right side, evens the count at 2-2. So Valens is close to getting out of this.
Yeah, but Hillsdale, I think, I mean, that was ball 3. Kyle is struggling right now, just being consistent. And again, Hillsdale, and these are hitters' counts. He didn't really have to swing at that, and it was a 2-1 count. And so I think now we got a 2-2 count, and wouldn't be surprised if Kyle came with 1 curveball.
Went with the fastball in the inside corner. Got Wetland looking for the 3rd out, and Valens' 4th strikeout of the game. At the end of an inning and a half, it's still 0-0 with the Vikings coming up. So Mahanti heads out to the hill for the bottom half of the second inning. He'll face Daniel Walsh, Jason Lujan, and Roberto Zucchiotti, the 5, 6, 7 batters for Mills.
Mahanti's small and stocky, but that can be deceptive because he has got a very good arm and he's got very good control. And he's going to be very difficult today.
Interesting, these two pitchers. Valens 4th in the Ocean Division in strikeouts with 46 for Mills, and Mahanti is 5th in strikeouts with 43. Valens has 4 strikeouts already, and Mahanti with 3. Here's Walsh, takes a high fastball. Gets ahead 1-0. On the season, Walsh batting .267, 16 for 60, 14 RBIs to lead the Vikings with 2 doubles. Taken at the knees, and Walsh is ahead 2-0.
You talk about the big sports with Hillsdale this year. I mean, you think about football, they win the Lake Division Championship, one of their first championships in a while. Basketball had a very successful season in baseball. So Hillsdale right now on an upswing with athletics and putting out some very competitive, strong teams.
3-0 pitch is taken down the middle by Walsh. Count goes to 3-1. Sequoia also doing a fine job over there in Redwood City. Swing and a miss. Count goes full. Sequoia looking for their 3rd straight championship in baseball. And here's the 3-2. Grounded over to shortstop. This time Vieira scoops and throws on target for the 1st out of the inning. Better throw that time.
Yes.
That'll bring up Jason Lujan for Mills. Lujan on the season, batting .258, 16 for 62, 9 RBIs, also with 4 doubles. And the right-hander, senior, takes first strike on a fastball.
Well, this is the new year with the new divisions because you have, Menlo and Sacred Heart Prep were in the WBAL the last couple of years. So I think with the new alignment, I think, it's been very interesting.
I'm sorry, Drew.
Go ahead.
Curveball, strike 3. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just curious. I look at this and Menlo, who won the CCS the last couple of years, they've been very successful, and you have Sacred Heart Prep, very strong. It's just made the P.A.L. such a better league, and you know, and so when you're talking about in the future here, and the next year when they talk about, you know, Bay and Ocean, I mean, it's going to be really tough to move some of these teams back and forth, you know, because P.A.L. has some teams to reckon with.
The 1-1 pitch is grounded over to second base. Making the play is Ricky Urata for the 3rd out of the inning. And at the end of 2 complete, we have no score here on the campus of Mills High School on MCTV Sports. We'd like to thank the Friends of the Millbrae Library for their generous support. The Friends are dedicated to making the Millbrae Library a great place to visit and one of the best libraries in San Mateo County. They also sponsor many interesting community events at the library that are great for both kids and adults. If you would like information about joining the Friends of the Millbrae Library, go to their website, millbraelibraryfriends.org, or you can call 697-7607. Both pitchers threw 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. Mahanti has thrown 30 pitches through 2, and Valens has thrown 32 pitches through 2. So we got a little pitcher's duel going on here, Drew.
We got a nice pitcher's duel, and they both, and again, it's a big game, and for Hillsdale, and Mills is rising to the challenge so far, and that's good. Against the last week of the season, and sometimes it's very difficult because you know, you have nothing to play for except pride. But you know, Mills is playing hard. They're out there, they're hustling, and Kyle looks good.
Mills has lost 9 in a row, including yesterday's 17-0 loss at Sacred Heart Prep.
Yeah.
So they're just on a skid, and you know, it started on April 10th against El Camino, that extra inning loss, 5-4 that MCTV covered. Valens threw 8 innings and pitched really well as Travis Abrams steps into the box, swing and miss, strike 1. Mills 6-17 overall, 2-10 in the Ocean Division.
Were you able to see Terra Nova play Hillsdale a few weeks back?
I did not see that game.
Yeah, Terra Nova being in the Bay in first place, and that was a, you know, very, very good win for the Knights.
Abrams pops one into shallow right field. Going back is the second baseman, Gavin Wong, and Gavin makes a nice play for Valens and the Vikes. And once again, Kyle gets the first out of the inning.
Yeah, that ball was hit to right field, and you can see the wind and the ball tails, and you never know what you're going to get. Anytime the ball in the air, you can see the hesitancy with the second baseman, and he made a nice play.
Back to the top of the order and the gauntlet of the top 6. Here's Mahanti, the pitcher, and he looks at an off-speed curveball that stays a little bit high, and Mahanti gets ahead like he did last time, 1-0. He flied to center field his first time up in the first inning.
Well, I think what Kyle is doing, what he needs to do, is he's keeping the ball away. The wind is pulling to left field, and that ball is going to go. If you can keep that ball to the right side, I think you got a good chance. But that ball is going to carry. You let that ball in the air, it's going to carry. And with these Hillsdale hitter, that ball can really carry and be trouble for Mills.
Mahanti gets ahead 3-0, and this is not what you want to do at the top of the lineup, is walk the leadoff batter. Kyle's got a lot of work to do, and he goes with a fastball taken for a strike, 3-1.
See the ball, though, the balls are up. And with these Hillsdale hitters, if you're going to keep them up, you're going to pay for it.
Mahanti takes inside. That's the second walk of the game for Valens, and that brings up Urata, who struck out swinging his first time up.
Got a lefty and lefty, and I would think this is going to favor Kyle with his curveball and his off-speed stuff.
Mahanti with a short lead, and he was actually leaning back towards the bag as Valen's first pitch to Urata is taken high, 1-0.
Isn't it tough with these lefties who have these great moves? If you're on first base, you know, sometimes you're just going to have to guess right.
Chopped foul. Count evens at 1-1. On the season, Mahanti, the junior, is 2 for 2 on stolen bases. You look, once again, not a lot of steals. They're 21 for 24 on the season. They have a high percentage, but they're not anywhere near someone like the Kings Academy, who has 1 or 2 guys over 20 each.
Yeah, well, I think the difference is, it's just the way it says. Kings have got not the greatest hitters, even though there's some good ones, but they're fast. But Hillsdale's got, well, if you have these great hitters, why would you want to steal?
Good point. There's a foul ball pulled, a grounder to right, and Valens is ahead 1-2 to Urata.
He's got a couple of pitches to play with now. You got lefty on lefty, and I think he doesn't want to make a mistake now. Make the hitter. Ooh.
There's a fly ball to center field. Under it is Derek Wong for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Yarrick, the number 3 hitter, grounded out to third his last time up. Mahanti still over at first, reached via the walk. And Yarrick takes a long look at the manager Madison over in the third base box. We'll see if something's going, and Valens says, okay, we're going to keep you close there. Madison, once again, in his first year as manager for the Knights. Adornetto in his 10th year. Off-speed breaking ball. Boy, he pulled the string there. Gets ahead 0-1.
I think he fooled the batter on that one. I don't think he was anticipating the first pitch curveball.
There's another off-speed pitch, and it's pulled down the left field line. So Valens gets ahead 0-2. You talk about a couple of pitches to play with. He's got a couple here.
Yeah, he's got to make sure. Some of his pitches, though, are still above the waist, and these Hillsdale batters can really hit the ball hard. I think right now I'm going to play with a couple of pitches.
Off-speed pitch is pulled deep down the left field line, but foul. So there he gave the off-speed pitch, and Yarrick was way out in front.
It was a lot of home plate on that one, and I think he'd want to throw it out of the zone a little bit if he could.
Off-speed pitch again is popped in the air to shallow left field. Coming in is Ganem. Fights the wind and makes the play, and Valens does his job. He is not allowed to run through 3 innings. And it's still 0-0 with the Vikings coming up in the bottom half of the third. Very interesting how this ball game has gone so far for Coach Adornetto, and coming off that wonderful season last year where they won the Ocean Division Championship. They were co-champs actually with Sequoia, and that was the 3rd championship in the P.A.L. for Adornetto. He also won his very first year as manager in 2005, and then he won it in 06, so he's got back-to-back titles back then. And boy, he's really done a fine job since he took over for Gary Froelich.
Yeah, Mills, I think, Mills will surprise you. When I was out at the South City for many years and just following just the P.A.L., and Mills really wasn't a very strong baseball team, Tony's really done a good job. I mean, it's his last 10 years, and you're there for 10 years, that's consistent. You're able to build, and I think the kids respect him, and he's got a good rapport with kids, and he knows baseball, and so I think that's and you're going to have years like this. You can't. I mean, this is when you talk about reloading, I mean, sometimes in a public school you just can't do that. You just are, but I mean, think about this. They lost, pretty badly yesterday. And, kids can hang their head. They could quit. It's the last week of the season. But, it shows what kind of a coach you are when your kids are out here battling. It's third inning. This is a big game for Hillsdale, and it's 0-0.
Gavin Wong, the second baseman, steps into the batter's box to lead off the bottom half of the third inning, and he chops one over to first. Tough play, making the glove is Anthony Leary, and he stayed with that, but that was a hot little grounder. Nice play. One pitch, one out.
It looked like it was going to go under his glove. I really thought it did, and then he recovered really nicely and made the play.
That'll bring up Ethan Chen, Jr., batting 100, getting a start today. Small sample size this season, just 1 for 10, only 11 plate appearances. Does have an RBI and has scored a run, and he blasts one to center field a little bit high. It's hanging up there for Guidi, and Vince Guidi makes the catch. And 3 pitches, 2 outs for Mahanti here in the third.
He's just firing strikes. It looked like the last batter, he a little bit off balance. He got out in front on that front foot and just hit it to center field. The balls really haven't been hit, except for that one shortstop, really haven't been hit hard tonight so far.
Derek Wong, the center fielder, leadoff batter, steps into the box for his second plate appearance. Struck out swinging his first time up and takes an off-speed pitch for a strike, 0-1. Outside, 1-1. Getting back to Adornetto, class of 1999, he said he knows baseball. Well, yeah, he played also, won a Frost Soft Championship in 1996 and won a Varsity Championship in 1999. A shortstop, all-league and all-county player, leadoff batter, stole a lot of bases.
A little story of Mr. Adornetto. He used to go to our church's daycare, so I actually knew him when he was growing up, and I remember he was an athlete even when he was young, 4 years old. He had sports written all over him. He loved to play, and he loved baseball. And so I have followed him for the past couple of years, and so he's done a fabulous job.
Derek Wong having a much better at-bat than his first appearance. He has now fought to a full count, 3-2, against the right-handed Mahani. Off-speed pitch is drilled to center field. On the run and making a diving attempt.
Fabulous catch.
And making the catch is Guidi for the final out of the inning. Boy, that was a fantastic play by the center fielder for Hillsdale.
That was hitting the gap, and you really thought that it was going to drop. But for the wind kept it up a little bit. It's surprising with the wind. It's been very inconsistent. It's going hard and not hard right then and there. Hit in the gap, and it held it up a little bit. Gave the center fielder made a fabulous catch, just diving and kept the shutout going.
Getting set to begin the top half of the fourth inning. Mills and Hillsdale here on MCTV Sports are scoreless. Finishing up last year when Mills won the league championship in the Ocean Division of the P.A.L. They ended up 13-13 overall. They went 12-2. They were co-champs with Sequoia. They made it to the Central Coast Section playoffs, and they lost at Westmont to a very good Westmont team from Campbell by the score of 8-3.
I think all these players would be, this P.A.L. tournament, I think, is going to create so much excitement. For so many years, the baseball coaches have sort of felt that, they wanted, the basketball does it, and just the excitement it would bring, and there's a lot of baseball is in San Mateo County for sure. And baseball is very popular, and a lot of good players, and I think this is going to be really, really a special year for that.
Connor Wallace is the left-handed batter, struck out looking on a called strike 3 from the plate umpire from the base umpire on a check swing. falls behind 1-2, and he did not like that call. So one of Valen's 4 strikeouts so far on the day. Wind really picking up here. Off speed, just off the corner. Evens the count at 2-2. How Wallace laid off of that. He almost went down looking again. Curveball, this time he goes down swinging. So the number 4 hitter, Valens, has gotten him twice. One down here in the top of the 4th. That'll bring up the shortstop, Chandler Vieira, who reached via the error in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, these big hitters from Hillsdale, they're just not, at least at this moment, Kyle is really keeping these guys off balance.
Curveball. Taken low and inside for a ball. 1-0.
I think the good thing with both these pitchers is, again, we've all played baseball, and if you're keeping the game moving, it's better for everybody. And these guys are throwing strikes.
Nice changeup for a strike there on Vieira. Count evens up at 1-1. Valens has 5 strikeouts so far in the game here. Top of the 4th inning. No score. Mills and Hillsdale. Hillsdale tied for first in a 4-way tie. And Vieira looks at a very close pitch. Gets the gift call, and it's 2-1.
I think this is what you got to do with a team like Hillsdale. You have to keep them off balance. And he is keeping them off balance with his curve, his fastball, changeup. He's mixing his pitches really well. He's going inside and out. Right now, Hillsdale hitters are very off balance. They're not, and he's really keeping them guessing.
2-2 count to Vieira. High, tight fastball. Count goes full. On deck is Leary. Fastball in the inside corner, and it just missed. Vieira draws the walk. Walk number 3 for Valens. And with 1 out, a base runner for Leary, a left-handed first baseman. He was one of those 3 walks in the 2nd inning, was left at first base. This is be pitch number 60 for Valens here in the 4th. Just off the outside corner, 1-0. And if you're wondering how many pitches Valens is capable of throwing, well, the first MCTV broadcast when he faced El Camino and pitched into the 8th inning, he threw 132 pitches and still looked strong in the 8th.
And got a 10 inning limit for the week, and he almost used it all up in one day.
Catcher Daniel Walsh goes out to talk with his big left-handed senior, and they've got things squared away on the game plan for Leary. Count is 1-0, 1 down, 1 aboard. Fastball low, foul back by Leary. Count goes to 1-1.
Now, what would you do at Hillsdale? Would you? It's 3rd inning. You're just going to wait this out. We've had a couple of base runners. Really, not even an attempt to steal. And you just wonder, just guess the philosophy is got some good hitters, and we're just going to play it out that way.
Also, no sacrifice bunts. And, you mentioned it earlier, Drew, the type of hitters and the hitting attack that this Hillsdale Knights team possess, you don't really want to take the bat out of these guys' hands.
But if you got a pitcher like Kyle, who, if you're watching the game, and you'd be a little concerned, because if he's really on, as they say, it's going to be difficult. It may be a bunt, a sacrifice bunt, put a little pressure on the defense.
Chopper off his foot, foul ball. Count goes to 1-2. This is the first meeting between Madison and Adornetto. Head-to-head, Adornetto versus Hillsdale since 2005. Mills has won 6 of the 14 meetings. The Knights have won 8. Adornetto's last win over Hillsdale was 2010. Back in 2005, Adornetto's Vikings beat Hillsdale 3 times in 1 year. He also beat the Knights in 07 and 08. There's a line drive to right field, hit right at Ethan Chen. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. And that'll bring up Taryn Poss, the catcher, who struck out swinging in the second inning.
And that was probably one of the best balls that have hit off Kyle so far. Fortunately, unfortunately for Hillsdale's, right at the right fielder.
So now with 2 down, we'll see if they try to get something started with Vieira, and they do. Foul back by Poss, 0-1.
I like that the hit. It looked like a hit and run on that one. I like that. I think you got to mix it up a little bit, put a little pressure on Mills.
Valens keeping an eye on Vieira. So you have the 10-year veteran manager against the first-year manager.
The first-year manager who is in first place.
Off-speed pitch in the dirt. Walsh does a nice job to keep it in front of him. Throws down, but no chance in getting Vieira. So he advances on the wild pitch. And for the second time of the game, they now have runners in scoring position.
Well, he's got a base open now, and I think you don't really have to give in. And you got these, as good as these Hillsdale hitters are, I think you're still in control here.
Taryn, the number 7 hitter, high fastball outside, and Poss now gets ahead 2-1. On deck, Brett Wetland. Wind really picking up here. Blowing out to left field. High outside fastball again. The count goes to 3-1. I think he might be thinking the same thing as you, Drew, and you don't want to give in here. You got the open base, and the number 8 hitter up next.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world if he walks him here, because you do got the 8th place hitter.
And he stayed away from Poss. Walk number 4 for Valens. And Wetland, who struck out looking his first time up. The sophomore steps in. So 4 walks and 5 strikeouts for Valens. Wetland takes a strike. This will be pitch number 70 for the big left-hander, the senior from Mills. High fastball, outside, count evens up at 1-1.
I don't think the pitch count, though, this is their last week, and this is his last game that he's going to pitch. So I don't think that's going to be an issue with the pitch count number.
Wetland fouls it off, 1-2 count. There is 2 outs in the inning, 2 on board.
And you got a 2-strike count now on the 8th place hitter. Again, you want to try to, you can nibble a pitch or two. Maybe he'll go for it. Maybe he'll go out of the strike zone.
Here's the 1-2. Change up, dribbling into left field, and it drops for a base hit. Trying to come around to score is Vieira, and he's going to be in standing up. And the no-hitter is broken up. So is the shutout, and the Knights lead it 1-0.
He had a 1-2 count, and again, he gave too much of the plate here. I think he went with an off-speed pitch, and you had the 8th place hitter on the ropes, and so just a little mistake. Good play by keep it in front. Now it's still first and second, but you got your 9th place hitter with 2 outs.
And that's Travis Abrams. The designated hitter takes just high, 1-0. Poss, the catcher, held up at second. Yeah, it was a changeup, and he left it up. You're ahead 1-2. You want to get that changeup a little bit out of the zone.
I think it's important right now. I think it's important right now that if they can get this 3rd out, and psychologically you're still in the game, But, you know, you give up a couple of runs and, you know, it's your last week of the season and it's like, here we go again. I just really think that, you know, if we get this hitter here, that can psychologically they can still feel they're in the game. He's only given up one hit.
The pitching coach, Mark Sagrafina, out to talk with his left-handed senior. Sagrafina, class of 2000 here at Mills Vikings. According to Max Preps, the Mills Vikings are ranked 72nd in the Central Coast section out of 110 schools. Hillsdale ranked 23rd. Abrams ahead 2-0 here. Big spot, top of the order up next. High and outside, count goes to 3-0.
Well, I think now it's a ninth place hitter. You got the leadoff people come with the bases. You don't want the bases loaded, so you've got to really make him, you got to challenge him a little bit here. Yep.
Fastball taken for a strike. 3-1. If you're Abrams, the batter, you're expecting that same type of pitch that you got 3-0 here at 3-1.
And if I'm Kyle, I'm going to throw the same exact pitch to get it over the plate.
And Abrams took a hack at it. A little bit high. Could have been ball 4, but nonetheless, it's 3-2 here, so the runners will be going with 2 down here in the top of the 4th. Hillsdale up 1-0. Battling for first place. Change up, he pulls the string. Strikeout number 6 for Valens. He gets out of it and only allows 1 run on 1 hit. He leaves 2, and at the end of 3.5, it's the Knights 1 and the Vikes coming up with 0. It's time to say thank you to another one of our underwriters, the City of San Mateo. We are excited to have the city on board with MCTV Sports, especially since we show so many events that include the high schools in San Mateo. Those, of course, include Aragon, Hillsdale, and San Mateo High School. To find out more information about San Mateo, check out the city website at cityofsanmateo.org. Once again, cityofsanmateo.org. Thanks again to San Mateo, one of our new partners here on MCTV. And here's one of those San Mateo schools in Hillsdale, battling for first place with another San Mateo school we just mentioned, Aragon, and a school from San Bruno, Cappuccino, and also Sequoia from Redwood City. 4 teams tied atop the Ocean Division at 8-4. Kings Academy at 7-5. Boy, the Ocean Division is an absolute mess right now.
Yeah, big games today. There's Cappuccino and Aragon. I think that's going to be a critical game. I think Sequoia and Woodside and Sequoia, and then you got Cappuccino and Aragon. You got those teams though. That's a big game today because you got somebody's not gonna be in first place after today. I think Sequoia, they have to play Woodside. Obviously, they're in pretty good shape because they should beat Sequoia twice, though it's it's one of their rival schools, but Woodside has really struggled this year, and Sequoia really hasn't.
And Hillsdale just beat Woodside 26-2 last week. They scored 11 runs in the first inning. Never looked back.
Yeah.
But then 2 days before, it was a 1-run game.
Yep.
Between Hillsdale and Woodside. So anything can happen. That's baseball. First pitch chopped over to shortstop. Scooping up is Vieira, and Vieira is able to get Ganem at first. 1 pitch, 1 out, and here comes Valens.
Notice the last couple of innings, Mills is they're hitting, they're swinging early, but I think to be fair, he's throwing a lot of strikes. Mahante is really throwing. He's very consistent, and I think they're trying to jump on that first pitch fastball.
Valens squares to bunt. Mahante comes up high, 1-0.
Looked like a curveball, first pitch.
4 strikeouts for Mahante. No walks so far. And that pitch is low, and Valens gets ahead 2-0.
That's the difference between the game right now is Kyle's walked a few. The walk really hurt him last inning. Mahante hasn't walked anybody.
3-0. He's in danger of doing just that. To Valens, trying to get something started for the Vikings here against this tough right-handed hitter. Hasn't allowed a hit or a walk through 3. And Valens takes a fastball down the middle, 3-1.
Well, if you can stay in the game as long as you can, keeping it close again, I think the pressure's on Hillsdale. They need this game really bad.
Ball 4, first walk of the game for Mahanti, and the Vikings have a runner aboard here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. That was the 45th pitch for Mahanti as the cleanup hitter McWhirter steps into the box, and he takes a long look at the manager Adornetto in the third base coaching box, wondering if they'll try a sacrifice here.
With your 4th hitter, I think you're going to probably let him hit a little bit. I think you're going to, but this is a great opportunity for Mills. You got a base runner, you got your cleanup hitter. You got to try to make some noise, which they haven't been able to do the first 4 innings.
Runner goes, hit and run. And McWhirter chops it over to first. Leary makes the play, but Valens moves over to second, so McWhirter does his job and puts the runner in scoring position.
It wasn't a bunt, but it's just the same kind of thing. It was right down, I think it was a check swing, and it probably wants that swing back. But now we have 2 outs, our 5th place hitter, but you got somebody in scoring position.
Daniel Walsh, the leading RBI man for the Vikings, steps into the box with a runner in scoring position. Off-speed changeup on the outside, 1-0. Walsh took a good look at that. The big sophomore stepping in has a bright future with the Vikings. He's come up through with some big hits in his first year on varsity. Takes low 2-0, and like we said last inning, Mahanti's got a base open.
Yeah, he's got your 5th place hitter. We just said the leading RBI hitter, so again, not the worst thing if he has to walk him.
Open stance for Walsh. Takes a nice hack at it. But fouls it back 2-1.
You get the impression that Mahanti, though he has a base open, it doesn't matter to him. He feels confident enough that he is going to get any hitter, and the way he's pitching, he's very aggressive, and he's throwing the ball really well.
From the windup. Check that from the stretch. Walsh takes on the outside corner. Count evens up at 2-2. Valens gets his lead over at second. And Walsh grounds one slowly over to shortstop. Charging in is Vieira, and he makes the play. Nice job by Chandler. He had to come in on that ball. It was slow roller.
Yeah, one-handed off his right foot. Fabulous play, fabulous footwork on that.
No runs on no hits. There was 1 walk. Valens was left on base at the end of 4 complete. It's the Hillsdale Knights 1, the Mills Vikings 0. Getting back to the rankings, according to Prep to Prep, which is a new website, does a nice job covering high school prep sports, has Mills ranked 89th in the CCS and Hillsdale at number 26 according to their computer rankings. They have 2 sets of rankings. They have one that's done by the humans and one done by the computers. And as far as Hillsdale goes, the computer has them at 26th. The humans have them at 21st. Nonetheless, in the CCS, out of 110 schools, that's ranked pretty high. Like you said, they've come up with some good wins, some quality wins.
And there's some very good teams in this CCS, and you know, Hillsdale is one of them. They're going to be a tough team. You know, it looks like they're going to make the P.A.L. playoffs. There's a good chance that they're going to make it. But you know, just talking about the Central Coast section, you know, they've got some good pitchers. The 3 pitchers that they have are pretty solid. Coach James feels that they're really You know, all three of them are really good, and that's what you need when you get to CCS. You got to have, I mean, you're playing those 2 games in a week, and you got to have you got, you know, solid pitching. You know, that's half the battle.
As far as the Central Coast Section playoffs are concerned, as you mentioned, Hillsdale is projected as a possible number 6 seed in Division 2. There's the Open Division, the Division 1 and Division 2, each with 16 teams in the division. And ironically, they could face somebody like an 11th seed in Sacred Heart Prep, which would be quite a matchup.
Yeah, again, that's a Bay Ocean matchup, and you know, I think anybody from the P.A.L, you know, the league is very respected, and so there's some good baseball played here, and so, you know, I've had a lot of success in the CCS in the past.
And Hillsdale already owns a win over Sacred Heart Prep on March 15th. They beat them 6-1.
That is true. But just watching them today, you can see why. I mean, you got, you know, Mahanti, and you got these hitters, and
here's Mahanti taking one deep to left field, back to the fence. It's gone. A home run for Rohit Mahanti. Home run number 5 on the season, and the Knights take a 2-0 lead.
Well, even though the wind is blowing out, I sincerely doubt that had anything to do with that hit. That was a pretty good shot. You could see he got, you know, the ball was tailing, his fastball tailed away, and he hit it in the, you can say, in the nice part of the bat. He got all of it, and that was over the 350-foot sign. Very nice hit for Mahanti.
That'll bring up Ricky Urata. Changeup is left high. Count goes to 1-0.
Yeah, it's only his second hit that he's given up. So again, I think Kyle just needs to realize that you know, Hillsdale's a good team. Let's try to keep it close.
There's a chopper over to first. McWhirter has no problem with it. Heads to the bag himself for the first out of the inning.
Had to make a decision whether to toss it to Kyle or not. Could have been a collision there, because it made it really closer than it should have been.
With that home run for Mahanti, his 5th, now ties him for the Ocean Division lead with his teammate Connor Wallace. They each have 5. Changeup taken high, 1-0. Here's Andrew Yarrick, 0 for 2, grounded to third in the first inning and fly to left in the third. And that man Connor Wallace is on deck. Foul back, 1-1. We talk about these hitters. Mahanti now tied for the lead in home runs. He's 3rd in batting average in the league, 2nd in slugging percentage, leads the league in RBIs. He's 5th in on-base percentage, and he leads the league in runs scored. I mean, you talk about an MVP candidate, plus he can pitch.
He can pitch, and you know, you can see with that swing. I mean, that was definitely a nice, majestic shot. And that's really the first really bad pitch, I think. Kyle, I mean, the Hillsdales. I mean, he's been pitching. Kyle has been pitching very, very strong. I think the only thing is his control. He has some walks, but he's pretty much kept these guys off balance. And so for the most part right now, you know, they're still in the game because of the way he's pitching.
Yarrick, the right-hander, faces the lefty, hits a slow roller over to second. Gavin Wong scoops it up and throws over to McWhirter for the 2nd out of the inning.
Again, that's just another example of him keeping these guys off balance, and the 2 hits to the right side again. The Hillsdale hitter have been off balance, and easy play for the infielders.
That'll bring up Wallace, the 3rd baseman. He's 0 for 2. He struck out looking in the 2nd and struck out swinging in the 4th. Starts him off with a changeup. That's 3 batters in a row. He started off with a changeup after the fastball by Mahanti that was sent over the left field fence.
Yeah, you get this, you know, late in the game. You've seen these individuals a couple of times here, the batters, and you got to mix it up because you can't be predictable. And You know, he does have a good changeup. He's got a nice curveball, and you know, mixing it up is going to keep them off balance.
Wallace ahead 2-0. Low fastball outside, and Valens has fell behind 3-0. And he walks Wallace on 4 pitches. That is the 5th walk of the game for Valens.
He's got 2 outs, though. I think again, he was like it was last inning. I think it's important. You know, let's keep that ball in play. Keep. There we go. Oh,
Sharply hit, base hit to right field by Vieira. Hit number 3 for the Knights. First and second. Vieira last inning walked and scored to break the shutout. That'll bring up Leary. Still 2 down here in the top half of the 5th inning. Leary is 0 for 1, walked in the second and lined out to right field. Got good wood, but hit it right at Ethan Chen. And he falls behind here 0-1. Time is called by the plate umpire, Tracy Prim. Once again on the bases, Greg Patrick. Here's Leary. Chops one foul down the first baseline.
He's moving pretty quick on the mound. I mean, he's really seems to be rushing, maybe a little frustrated, and he's not even looking over to second base. And he's really looks a little bit.
Curveball popped in the air, and that's going to slice out of play.
Now you got your 2 strikes again. I think this is important that he, doesn't give him something to hit. You get a hit now. Again, it's 3-0, 2-0 right now. It's pretty. The way that Mahante's been pitching, it's going to be very difficult. So I think you got 2 strikes. He's got that nice curveball. You might see what we can do here.
Changeup. Just got a piece of it.
It's a very good pitch.
That was high and out of the zone right there, just where you want it, Coach.
Yeah, and then just the batter did what he had to do, just protecting it. Just that's all you can do is just hope for another pitch. Hope for another mistake if you can get it.
Leary, the lefty, facing Valens, the lefty. 0-2. Changeup, chopped over to Valens. He does a nice job. Swivels his body, makes the throw for the 3rd out of the inning. And Valens, despite giving off that leadoff homer, fights his way out of a jam, and they only trail, the Vikings do, by 2 at the end of 4.5 innings. So the Knights get 1 run on 2 hits. And now heading back to the mound is Rohit Mahanti. He'll be facing the 6, 7, 8 batters, Lujan, Zucchiati, and Wong. Lujan is 0 for 1, struck out in the 2nd inning. Mills has gone the last 2 innings without striking out. Mahanti has 4 and has walked just 1. Mahanti delivers and Lujan fouls it back. And we mentioned early on that Hillsdale is battling for first and that Mahanti is a possible MVP candidate in the Ocean Division. There's a chopper over to third, playing it well and charging it is Wallace. He throws in the dirt, but Leary digs it out for the 1st out of the inning. And talk about how these teams are jockeying for position in the P.A.L. playoffs or the P.A.L. tournament. It's a Shaughnessy tournament between the 3 divisions. All 7 teams from the Bay go. 4 teams from the mid-level division, from the Ocean go, and the Lake Division champion, which we know is South City, is already in. It's going to be a great tournament.
So does the winner, is it 3, you have to win 3 games or 4 games? How does?
Well, the top 4 from the Bay Division get a first round bye, so they would have to win 3 games. And the other 8 teams that don't get a bye would have to win 4 straight games on 4 consecutive days. So you talk about the need for quality depth of pitching. That's the situation there. There's a chopper over to short, handled by Vieira, and Zucchiotti is out for the second out of the inning.
Well, you got a team like Hillsdale who's got 3 pretty solid pitchers. You like your chances because you could, at least you could get to the championship game like that. But it is tough because, you know, most of these teams have 2 pretty good pitchers. I mean, they all have lots of pitchers, but then you start getting where it gets difficult. You know, you throw in your 3rd, 4th, and sometimes 5th pitcher, and, you know, then you got CCS the next week too. And, you know, you can't just blow it all in 1 week.
Chopped foul. Tough play for Wallace coming in. Throws on the run and is able to get Gavin Wong. Nice play, and the second nice play of the inning there for Connor Wallace for the 3rd inning. Many thanks go to the Magnolia of Millbrae for sponsoring this event. The Magnolia of Millbrae is a welcoming place for seniors who want luxurious living conditions with a swimming pool, fine dining, and a gated, covered parking garage. For more information, please contact themagnolia.com or you can call 697-7700. Let me repeat that again, 697-7700. 3 7s and 2 zeros. Or if you're confused about that number, you can call toll-free at 1-888-860-6915. So we've completed 5 here on MCTV Sports. I'm Kenny Melch alongside Drew Petiti, and it's the Hillsdale Knights leading the Mills Vikings by the score of 2-0. Getting back to that P.A.L. playoff situation, it's interesting how they did the bracketing and the seeding. The Ocean Division champion and the Ocean Division second place play each other in the first round, and the winner of that, congratulations, you get the #1 team or the champion of the Bay Division.
Yeah, but like we've talked about, I think there is not that much disparity. I mean, the Bay and Ocean, a lot of these Bay or Ocean teams could play in the Bay, and they have played the teams, and they have beaten them.
Taryn Poss swinging a miss here to start the top half of the 6th inning. He is 0 for 1, struck out in the 2nd and walked in the 4th. Valens still on the hill.
And how do you have and the way it is now, you've got 4 teams tied for first place, so it's like, you know, when you say first place plays second place, they're all the same. They seem to be right now, though today Aragon and Cappuccino play, so there will be some you know, one of those teams will not be in first place. So, at the best, you're going to have 3 teams, and then if Kings Academy wins, you've got, you know, 2 teams with 1 game behind still.
A lot of balance, a lot of parity. Off-speed breaking ball by Valens. Count is 1-2, and that was pitch number 100 for Valens here in the top half of the 6th with no outs. You know, you talk about balance in the Ocean with all those teams. There's a lot of balance in the Bay. Inside fastball. Paw stays off it. It's 2-2. Carlmont has kind of separated themselves, and they are in first place in the Bay with just 3 losses. And now there's a tie between Terra Nova and Menlo Atherton with 4 losses each. So, you know, both divisions, first place in the Ocean, those 4 teams that are tied have 4 losses, and in the Bay, Carlmont with 3, and so that proves about the parity.
We also think you've got Menlo and you've got Sacred Heart Prep. Menlo is struggling this year, and this is a rare thing because they have been so consistent year after year, and you know, they're, you know, dealing with, you know, 4th place and You know, them in prep, or they might not make that P.A.L. tournament.
So a leadoff walk to Poss. Valen's 6th walk of the game, and outside pitch to Wetland. 1-0, and Wetland in the 2nd inning got that RBI single to break the shutout and the no-hitter of Valen's.
You got to wonder about Kyle now. He's not going to be pitching anymore this season after today. You know, right now you can see that he's thrown a lot of pitches, and you know, and I think he's done a fabulous job. You know, I think this is obviously a critical to keep to keep Mills in the game. He needs to have a good inning here.
Bunt laid down, a beauty down the line. It's going to stay fair unless it kicks foul, and it does. So it started fair, started to roll foul, but then it found the spin, and then it hit the lip of the grass and went foul, fortunately for Mills. Otherwise, that would have been a base hit for Wetland, the sophomore.
Kyle was just about to pick it up. You could see it. He was like, and then he thought, and then he made the right decision, because that was the only way they were going to get anything, because that ball was, they were not going to get the runner out at first or second.
So the manager of the Knights going to play for 1 run here in the top half of the 6th. They had Wetland squaring to bunt. That time he was swinging away, but the count goes to 2-1.
I like what he's doing there. I mean, I think you get that extra run, I think just psychologically makes a difference, because right now Mahati has not given up a hit, and I think that he's been really tough so far.
There's a line drive to shallow center field. That's going to drop for the 2nd hit of the game for Wetland, and Hillsdale's in business with runners at 1st and 2nd, nobody out, and here's Abrams.
Now he's in a little bit of trouble. Kyle's in a little bit of trouble. It's 6th inning. They've seen him. This is, 3rd time around in the order, and he does look. I mean, he's battling hard. He does look a little tired. He's thrown a lot of pitches.
Abrams 0 for 2. He bunts, sacrifice. Balance has trouble with it. Took his eye off it for a moment, and that's going to be an error on Kyle. And now the bases are loaded, top of the order.
And we've got Mahante up, and Kyle's in trouble, and got the pitching coach coming out, and I'm not sure if anybody's warming up, but the best you can do now is you're going to try to minimize the damage. You're going to have to bring the infield in. You're going to have to hope. You got one of the best hitters in the league here, and you're going to have to hope that makes a mistake, and I think Mahante is in control here. I think I think Kyle is going to be a little fine with him, after giving up that home run the last time. So it's going to be an interesting battle.
A couple other notes: that P.A.L. tournament starts next Tuesday, May 13th, runs through the 16th with the championship game at Half Moon Bay. Half Moon Bay is also hosting 2 quarterfinal CCS games on that beautiful field they have. There's a high fly ball in the left field that's going to remain playable. Going back is Gano.
Off the fence.
And it's off the fence. Coming around to score is Poss. Here comes Wetland, and he scores one of the longest singles you'll ever see. And the wind really got a hold of that hit from Mahante.
It was almost caught at the fence. You could see it was. That's why it's the longest single you'll ever see, because the runners had a hold, and they knew they were going to be able to score. But it was a tough play. The wind. This one got in the wind also.
So the Knights take a 4-0 lead. Mahante continues his torrid pace. He's got 2 hits and 3 RBIs, a homer and a single.
Very close to a grand slam on that one, though.
And Urata takes high. Urata's 0 for 3. Valens has had his number today. Still nobody out. Urata struck out fly to center and grounded out to first base. There's a pop foul drifting just beyond the bleachers. Count evens up at 1-1. With the 3 RBIs, Mahanti increases his league lead. He has now 28 on the season, including 5 home runs. And you add that homer, that's going to boost his slugging percentage. His 2 for 3 is going to raise his season average from 435. So, you know, I'd be pretty puzzled to find another player in the Ocean Division who could beat him out as league MVP. There's a ground ball hard to McWhirter. He stabs it, goes over to first to get the out. Both runners advance. 1 down for Yerrick.
Nice play at first base. He thought about going for the double play, but the runner going to second had a pretty good jump, and so we were. But at this point, you need outs. You got first base open now. You got your third place hitter, so you know.
High fastball. Yarrick is 0 for 3. Grounded to third, fly to left, grounded to second. So Abrams over at third and Mahanti at second. Pitch is low, 2-0 to Yarrick.
I would think that this could be Kyle's last inning. He has pitched, it's 4-0. He's pitched a fabulous game so far. He's really, you know, he's thrown a lot of pitches.
115 now to be exact. There's another sky ball. This one stays on the infield. Drifting over is Lujan, and he catches it for the second out of the inning.
Great pitch by Kyle. Couldn't have come at a better time. Got a pop-up again with 2 runners in scoring position and a very good hitter up, and you couldn't ask for anything more than that. Now you got 2 outs. Again, you're still only 4-0, and you know, if you can lefty versus lefty.
Pitch in the dirt. Nice play by the sophomore Walsh, keeping Abrams at third. Count is 1-0, and here's that other power hitter, Wallace, and so far Valens has had his way with him. Struck him out twice, but did walk him in the 5th. To Wallace. You got that base open, and that was the same situation that happened last inning. And so Valens is going to be real careful with this cleanup hitter. It's 3-0. This one's in the dirt, gets by Walsh, but he's able to track it down quickly, and Abrams holds at third. Ball 4, that's going to load up the bases. Walk number 7 for Valens. And here's Vieira.
Yep.
Vieira is 1 for 2. Singled, walked and scored, and reached on an error. And that's going to be it for Valens. He allows 4 runs on 6 hits. He's responsible for the 3 on the bases, and he ends up throwing 119 pitches.
But he had him most of the day. He had him off balance. He did get in trouble last inning, and you know, for the first 3 innings, he was pretty solid, and he kept it. Like I said, he kept him off balance. You know, he had a couple walks, I think, walk that hurt him, and you know, he got a lot out of him today, I think.
So they're going to make a few defensive changes. Valens is going to go over to first. McWhirter is going to go over to third, and the new pitcher is Roberto Zucchiotti. Boy, Zucchiotti's going to come in to a very tough spot. But the base is loaded. Zucchiotti on the season has appeared 8 times, has 1 save, has pitched only 10 2/3, has done a nice job an ERA of 2.62, and he's a right-handed senior.
Yeah, as was Kyle. It could be his last game pitching. You know, he's a senior, and but you know, he has nothing to hang his head about. I think he pitched a great game tonight, and you know, again, you're talking Hillsdale's good hitting. You got your really good hitting team, and you're not going to keep them down for long. And I think some of the situation is Mills. You know, Mills hasn't got a hit yet, and you know, you almost have to pitch a perfect game yourself to stay in the game.
Lujan goes over to short. Vieira steps in the box. And Zucchiotti going to try to get the Vikings out of this jam and keep their hopes alive. They still have 2 more at-bats left. First pitch is low, 1-0 to Vieira. Line drive to left field, coming in on it and making a sliding catch. Well done was Jordan Ganem for the 3rd out of the inning. So 2 pitches, and Zucchiotti gets out of the jam at the end of 5.5. It's the Knights 4 and the Vikings nothing. Once again, we'd like to thank our newest underwriter, the City of San Mateo. Sustainability is a top priority for the City of San Mateo. By focusing on sustainable programs and projects, the city can better develop, manage, and preserve valuable community assets and resources for years to come. We salute the City of San Mateo, and we thank them. If you missed any part of today's game, don't worry. We'll be replaying again on MCTV, and you can also find MCTV sports programs on demand on our new website. Just go to mctv.tv and check out our schedule. As the first batter in the bottom of the 6th grounds it over to 3rd. Nice diving play by Wallace, getting Chen for the 1st out.
Hillsdale has, Mahante has yet to give up a hit. And you start to wonder now, with plays like that, you know, his defense is really behind him, and
that'll bring up Derek Wong. 0 for 2, struck out in the 1st, and lined out to center field. Hit that really nice ball, that diving catch made by Guidi. Taken for a strike. And he hits it again to center field. Guidi's going to have to come in on this ball. And no man's land, and going out is the shortstop Vieira to make the play for the 2nd out of the inning.
2 very nice plays. And, you know, you got to talk about, you know, it's only 7 innings, but you know, you're talking about anytime right now he's, you know, 4 outs from a no-hitter, and that is a great accomplishment. And he's got some very nice plays behind him so far.
At shortstop, Vieira has made 5 plays. And at 3rd, Wallace has made 3. There's a line drive to left field. Going back on it is Wetland, and he makes the catch. He first came in on it, and then that ball kept soaring even in the wind. But Wetland makes a nice play. So a 5-pitch inning for Mahante at the end of 6 complete. It's still 4-0, and the no-hitter is intact.
Yeah, you don't really talk about the no-hitters. It's a very rare thing in high school baseball, and you know, so this is you know, Mahante has pitched great.
Let me read that one commercial again, and it's about, if you missed any part of today's game, you don't have to worry. We're going to replay it again on MCTV, and you can also find MCTV sports programs on demand on our new website. You just go to mctv.tv and check out our schedule and our video on demand pages. And if you like what you see, leave us a comment or send us a tweet. We are on Twitter at MCTV_Millbrae. That's MCTV_Millbrae. We love getting feedback, and we'd especially like to know what other programs you would like to see on MCTV. If you're enjoying watching this program or any other programs on MCTV, consider becoming an MCTV underwriter. It's a great way to get your name on local television and to support the Millbrae community. And of course, your support is crucial in helping MCTV to produce quality programming with a local focus. For info on underwriting opportunities or to sign up for an underwriting package, contact MCTV at 259-2343 or send an email to info@mctv.tv. Top of the 7th inning, Zucchiotti back on the hill after getting out of that bases-loaded jam on just 2 pitches, and he's going to face Anthony Leary, Taryn Poss, and Brett Wetland. Fouled off. Fastball in the outside corner. Count is 1-2. And if you notice, Zucchiotti kind of slings a little bit of sidearm action. He's got a little bit of awkward, different delivery, but it's effective.
When you do that, it's very tough to pick up, especially in the shadows of the early afternoon. So more difficult for the hitter than you think.
And even more difficult for the right-handed batters. Yes. Of course, Leary on the left side. And he fouls one off to the left. Count still 2-2. Pitch is blooped into left center field. Going to be tough, but coming on and making the catch is Ganem for the first out of the inning.
Ganem has had a lot of action out there today, and he's done a very nice job. Some very nice plays.
That'll bring up Poss, the catcher. 0 for 1, struck out in the 2nd, but he has walked twice in the 4th and the 6th, and he scored in the 6th. And he takes the ball. Fastball outside. 2-0. Inside, just missing is Zucchiotti. 3-0 to Poss. This is the 3rd batter that Zook has faced. And he gets the benefit of the doubt on the high fastball. Count goes to 3-1. Once again, you're watching MCTV Sports. Fastball fouled back. 3-2. I'm Kenny Milch alongside Drew Petiti, the coach. Coach, we've been treated to a very interesting and entertaining game here that Mills still in the hunt, down just 4. If they can get out of this inning, we could see some excitement here in the last inning.
But then again, Mahante, it'll be a little different. It's not just your 7th inning because you have a no-hitter, and they are so rare in high school, and so you can bet that Hillsdale is going to be up for that last inning.
Inside, almost hit Wetland, and then it bounced off the backstop and came back and actually hit Wetland, but not very hard. Counts 1-0. Hillsdale in that tie for first, looking for their first league championship since 2008 when they won the Lake Division. In fact, the Lake Division was only around for 6 years, from 04 to 09. Taken for a strike, 1-1. You were talking about Menlo earlier being so consistent year in and year out. They're actually going through that drought. They haven't won a championship since 08 and 09 when they won back-to-back Bay Division championships. And, you know, they're in that tough Bay Division.
Yeah, Menlo, though, when they stayed out of when they came back to the WBAL, they've won the league ever since. They have not the last 3 years. They've won every year, and convincingly. I think they only lost. I think in 3 years, I don't think they lost 1 league game in the WBAL.
2-2 count to Wetland with 2 down here in the top of the 7th. in the dirt. Count will go full. Wetland's had a good day. He's 2 for 3. RBI single in the 4th to break up the no-hitter and the shutout on Valens, and then he singled and scored also in the 6th. And he grounds one over to 3rd. McWhirter stays down, fires over to Valens at 1st for the 1-2-3 inning. So Zucchiotti comes in and retires 4 straight batters, and we'll head to the bottom of the 7th with the Vikings trailing 4-0. So as we head to this bottom half of the 7th, Mahanti will be facing the 3-4-5 batters in Valens, McWhirter, and Walsh. And of course, it always kind of turns out that way. You're going to have to face the heart of the lineup to continue with the no-hitter or complete it, and also with the shutout. And you know, Mills has a knack for coming back. In fact, when we did this game on MCTV back on April 10th against El Camino, Mills was trailing in that game 4-0, and they came back and scored 2 in the 6th and 2 in the 7th to force extra innings. And it was unfortunate because Valens pitched 8 innings, 132 pitches, and actually suffered the loss in that game. So now if you're Mills, are you focus more on breaking up the no-hitter or the shutout or both?
Well, I think you got to do one step at a time. You got to try to get some guys on the base just to put some pressure on him, get him out of the windup, put him in the stretch a little bit. He's been in a great rhythm. He's getting that first pitch strike, and his velocity has not changed a whole lot from the first inning.
Valens, 0 for 1, reached on an error on the shortstop and walked. And he bloops one foul over the left side. Count evens at 1-1. Mahanti is just a junior. Could be an MVP junior. Fastball popped up again over the left side. That's going to drift out of play. And Valens is behind 1-2. Mahanti has struck out 4 and walked only 1. And this will be pitch number 67 coming up here. So he's really kept his pitch count down, averaging less than 10 an inning. Count goes to 2-2, throwing a lot of strikes.
And again, the game's been moving at a quick pace just because of that.
Chopper over to 3rd. This could be a tough play for Wallace. He's done it all day. Does he do it again? High throw, and they got him just by a half a step.
When is this going to stop? The last 4 hitters now, all of these hits could have broken up the no-hitter. And another great play by the 3rd baseman.
Wallace made 2 nice plays in the 5th. He made 1 in the 6th and now 1 in the 7th. So they say if you're going to throw a no-hitter, you're going to need some defensive help. And Mahanti has certainly gotten that today. Here's McWhirter, takes inside 1-0. McWhirter's 0 for 2, struck out in the 1st, and check swinged a grounder over to first base in the 4th. Swing and a miss. Big healthy hack at that one. Count goes to 1-1.
You got to feel the pressure when you're in the field. I mean, this is a no-hitter going, and you know you almost don't want the ball to come to you because you don't want to break it up.
There's a grounder over to short. Here's Vieira. Fires to first, off balance. So Valens reaches via the error. That's the 2nd error on Vieira, but the no-hitter is still intact.
Yeah, that's a unfortunate, but again, these have been tough plays. He had to go into the hole a little bit, but he's still, if the throw was there, he would have had him.
That'll bring up Walsh, the catcher, grounded out to short both times. Takes low at the knees, 1-0.
And if you're Mills, this is what you want to do. You got to get base runner. It doesn't matter how it happens, and you know you got 4 runs to make up.
Chopper over
Double
to short.
Play.
This could be 2. There's 1 and double play, and Mahanti has thrown a no-hitter. Hillsdale wins the game 4-0. He struck out 4, walked just 1, And we were treated, Drew, to quite a performance by Rohit Mahanti.
Started from inning number 1, throwing strike after strike. His pitch count was down. You keep it under 80 pitches in a high school game, you go in 7 innings. I mean, you've really done your job, and he did not let up at all. And very few balls were hit hard. But he did have some really good defensive plays there the last inning and a half.
He ended up throwing 73 pitches, and at the plate, Mahanti once again ended up 2 for 3. He hit that towering home run and just missed another one. He had 3 RBIs, and once again is certainly a league MVP candidate in the Ocean Division. Well, we'd like to thank you very much for joining MCTV for this coverage of P.A.L. Varsity Baseball. We do have DVD copies of today's game for sale. Just go to mctv.tv/buy and look for the DVD cover on our Square store. You can also give us a call at 259-2343 and we'll take your order over the phone. DVD sales go to support the production of more MCTV sports events, so you are helping to keep our excellent sports programming going. For more info, give us a call or check our website, mctv.tv. Well, that's going to do it here for our coverage of Mills High School baseball. Once again, the final score, it's the Hillsdale Knights 4 and the Mills Vikings nothing. We'd like to thank our entire MCTV sports crew for this game and throughout the season, doing a fine job. For Drew Petiti, I'm Kenny Milch saying so long. We'll see you next time right here on MCTV. Good night, everybody.